Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We will be doing chapter 6, the Yoga of Self-Control, and we will be learning about a detailed description of what is Dhyan Yoga. So chapter 6 verse 17 onwards. Yoga, which rids one of woe, is accomplished only by him who is regulated in diet and recreation, regulated in performing actions and regulated in sleep and wakefulness. In the last satsang, Lord Shri Krishna described very clearly to Arjuna who can do Dhyan Yoga. I'm going to just do a quick recap. He said to Arjuna, this yoga, that is the Dhyan Yoga, is neither for him who overeats nor for him who observes complete fast. It is neither for him who is given to too much sleep and nor even for him who is ceaselessly awake. So what does that tell us? It tells us that how we have to do everything in moderation. In continuation to that, he's further telling how should the yogi be. Yoga, which rids one of woe, means all your sufferings, misery, whatever that is there, is accomplished only by him who is regulated in diet. Who can accomplish this yoga? One who is regulated in diet and recreation, regulated in performing actions and regulated in sleep and wakefulness. That tells us that what Lord Shri Krishna is teaching is you have to perform and do everything in moderation, which means you have to eat in time, eat in moderation. It's not just eating in time, but eating in moderation also is extremely important. In fact, there is one chapter in Bhagavad Gita in which Lord Shri Krishna has very clearly described what is the right way to eat, how people have to eat in moderation. So he's going to explain what is sattvic food comprise of, everything, because the food also regulates our way of life. See, that is why Bhagavad Gita is a way of life, which is what my Krishna Guruji is actually going to be conducting starting Jan onwards. So he actually imparts this knowledge how to live the way of life, which is based on the right ways. What are those ways? Which is how to eat, what to eat, how much to eat. Everything is going to be taught in detail. So here also Lord Shri Krishna is teaching to Arjuna that the yoga, this Dhyana yoga, can be accomplished only by those, who are regulated in diet and recreation. Means what? You can't just go and have fun all the time. Oh, I want to party. Today is party night. Oh, it's Wednesday. I want to go out, dance. I want to go night out. I want to do this. I want to do that. No, you can't do any of those things like that. He's talking about regulated in diet. He doesn't say you have to go and, intoxicate yourself. He's not telling you have to go and smoke, drink. No, all that is going to cause imbalance to your mental and physical well-being. Then regulated in performing actions. So actions, what are those actions? It doesn't mean that you just start your day at 4 a.m. and end at 1 a.m. and then you don't sleep properly. Again, you're working like a machine. That is also not, permitted here. In the sense, even if you're doing something like that, you're overdoing things. So everything has to be done in a disciplined manner, in a consistent manner, and it has to be, balanced. The word is called balanced. And regulated in sleep and wakefulness. In the last verse also he explained, you can't excessively sleep. There are people who will only wake up, they'll go to bed only at 4 a.m. and they will wake up, in the afternoon. That is not the right time, and or they will oversleep. They will sleep and then they will wake up late in the morning. That is also not allowed. So he's talking about regulated. What does regulated mean? Regulated in the way you perform actions, regulated in the diet you eat, regulated in the way you sleep and wake up. Everything has to be balanced. The word is regulated and balanced, which means what? The word regulated means what? Regular. Regular means you're following a practice which is very systematic in life. So you have certain prescribed timing. So if you wake up every day at 4:30 or 5:30, whatever that fixed timing is, you have to stick to that time. So you have a time to eat your breakfast. You are not going to skip your breakfast, which means you're, ensuring your physical well-being. Then your mind will also have that balance. Your mind is also going to, work with you and not against you. But what does this yoga do? When you follow all of this, the Dhyan Yoga, what does it help to achieve? Which rids one of wow, rather, I mean, wow, it means wove. Woves are what? All those issues that you have in your life, the sufferings, the kind of mental, imbalance, the state of disturbance, agitations in your mind, those disturbing thoughts, all that it will help you get rid of. Why? Because through dhyana, you're purifying your mind, your heart, and your body is also getting cleansed. So the purification is what is happening. And so you will be able to get rid of all those things. And Lord Shri Krishna actually told us one very beautiful secret in yesterday's satsang we did. So when you do dhyana, what does happen? He says, thus constantly applying his mind to me, the yogi of disciplined mind attains everlasting peace, consisting of supreme bliss, which abides in me alone. So what is he saying? Supreme bliss, consisting of supreme bliss, which abides in me. He's very clear. So when you are in dhyana, that is meditation on the Divine Lord, then you're able to purify your mind, everything, the thoughts, the senses. You're able to get control over your senses, your body. Everything is being purified. And through the purification, you achieve everlasting peace. And that supreme bliss, which abides in Lord Shri Krishna alone. He's very clear. How do you attain that supreme bliss? And then what happens? Then you're able to get rid of all the miseries and sufferings, the turbulence that happens in your mind, all that you're able to get rid of. And you achieve that supreme bliss. But what is he teaching here is that this yoga can only be performed by those, there are disclaimer, there are criteria that you have to meet. You can't be someone who's indisciplined in life. You don't have a proper timing when you wake up, when you sleep, what food you eat. You can't be, you can't be eating whatever you want, whenever you want, and or not. You can't do anything in excess. So everything has to be regulated and in moderation. So your lifestyle has to be regular. You have to be regular at doing things. So Lord Shri Krishna has a criteria. How does one achieve? So you have to be someone who can follow all of these rules, the prerequisites of achieving, somebody who's going to be qualified to do dhyana. Not everybody. And then he also taught in, we learned yesterday in the earlier satsang, how do you sit, the posture, how do you fix your mind. So all that he has given, the method is what is imparted to you. But are you the one who's suitable to do this? That is something you will have to answer the question yourself, because he has already given the prerequisite. What is the requirement to qualify to, do dhyana? Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So don't even bother trying this method. So let us continue. When the mind, which is thoroughly disciplined, gets reverted on God alone, then the person who is free from yearning for all enjoyments is said to be established in yoga. This is very beautiful. What is he saying here? When the mind, which is thoroughly disciplined, he's, you need to underline these words. Lord Shri Krishna is very smart and very clever. He's the most intelligent one. He's the intelligent, the highest, supreme intelligence rather. What is he saying here? Thoroughly disciplined. When the mind, which is thoroughly disciplined, means you have made it so perfect that it is not going to disobey you. Okay, gets reverted on God alone. And only when you achieve that level of discipline, then the mind gets reverted on God alone. It is not going to then go after sensual pleasures. Then the person who is free from yearning for all enjoyments is said to be established in yoga. then how do you achieve that yoga? When do you get established in yoga? Only when the mind which is thoroughly disciplined. So what does that tell you? It's not one day's job, it is not 1 month, 1 year, it is about a lifetime. You have to follow this, for lifetimes, which means you have to do your sadhana, you have to continue to practice, and you have to continue to strive. What does that tell you? Which is thoroughly disciplined, means the discipline cannot happen overnight. Mind is very indisciplined. It doesn't want to listen. It doesn't like anybody controlling. Why? Because it is ruled by Indradev, and Indradev doesn't want to lose his kingdom. His throne is always, in danger. So he's going to always revolt. The mind is always going to do exactly opposite of what you want it to do. So you have to make your mind your friend by training, through practice, through sadhana. And once you are able to achieve this, then alone the mind gets reverted on God. Then the person who is free, then what happens to you? Then you become free from yearning for all enjoyments, is said to be established in yoga. So when you are free, from yearning, we yearn, oh, I want to eat this today, I want to wear this, I want to go here, I want to do this. We are constantly running after fulfilling our desires. So that yearning for all enjoyments stops. And only then you will be able to be in that yoga, established in that yoga, which is union with the Divine Lord. In that state alone, then you will experience that supreme bliss which abides in Lord Sri Krishna. How beautiful it is. But this is not an easy thing. Let me be very honest here. See, he's very clear with the prerequisites, which means who will qualify for this Dhyan Yoga. He's only telling Arjuna, he's teaching and imparting. If you're capable, then do. And what are the things you need to first follow? You have to first be very disciplined. You need to eat in moderation. You have to sleep in time, wake up in time, do things in time. Everything has to be regulated, and you have to practice it in a consistent manner. So you can't do 1 day and 10 days you will disappear, then next after that you'll someday appear, and then you'll say, okay, today I want to do. No, this inconsistency will not allow you to achieve anything. So what is very important? Thoroughly disciplined, and your mind has to become thoroughly disciplined, which means you have been able to control, or rather conquer your mind, body and senses. Because if you don't conquer your mind, body and senses, the mind is never going to listen to you. So how can you then discipline? When you discipline the mind, it then listens to everything that you tell. So then it gets established in the dhyana, that is meditation on the Divine Lord. He says, no, fix your mind on me alone. So that is when the mind will get reverted on God alone. Not until then. Otherwise it is actually... Have you observed your mind? It's like a wild horse. It's running everywhere. It's running hither, kind of thoughts that it creates. It sometimes makes you feel elated. Sometimes it makes you feel depressed. Sometimes it makes you feel, I don't know what not. People do not have any control over their mind at all. They're constantly running. Have you seen when people wake up in the morning? It's worth to observe their faces. They don't have a smile on their face. They're just very gloomy. And like my Guruji will always tease, he'll say people look like they have drunk castor oil. Castor oil is very bitter. And it's like, your face is like that. But there is no sweetness in their face. Why? That's because we are constantly living in that mind. The mind is the one which makes you feel like that. But what is most important? You have to become vibrant. You have to think about God. The moment you wake up, you have to, look forward to doing something with that day. You have one more day to live. So it's a beautiful day. That's how you need to look. You have to listen to something very beautiful early morning. Not thinking about, oh God, the gloominess that fills the individual, depressive attitude, and there's no life in there. You can't become like that. So you have to become very active, and you have to be, running. You have to be up on your toes and doing something with your life. But today, if you look the world around, we are into Kali Yuga. Everybody is very confused. They don't know what they want. They don't know what to do. They're all lost souls, They are searching for something, but they're not able to find what is that they're searching for. They don't even know what they're searching for. So the world has become a very depressive place. But it's about how you make that place very vibrant and bring full of energy to people around you. So you have to be very positive in your approach. And see, all this that I am speaking, I'm giving you the answers, it's very easy said than done. Why? Because the mind becomes very strong. Until you don't learn to discipline your mind, the mind rules you. You are controlled by the mind instead of you controlling the mind. This is what happens, and that is why if you look at the world, they are unable to do anything with themselves. Someday people say, oh, I'm very excited, I want to do this, I want to do that. They feel on top of the world, and later those people disappear. And what happened? Oh, they went into the state of depression. For what? Oh, nothing is happening in my life. I've lost a job. I'm searching. Nobody's responding to me. I don't know what to do. So all sorts of those kind of confused state of mind comes in, and you're constantly feeling bitter, negative about things, people, all those things are happening. And many a time, the mind imagines 99% of things which is not even existing. So a lot of the things are created by your mind alone. So, it fills you with the negativity. You're always thinking about the downside of life. We don't look at the upside of life. We don't look at how we can make a difference in this world, not just to the world, first to your own self. Only when you make difference to your own self can you then make a difference to the world. In the last satsang, I was giving a very beautiful story about a mountaineer, how he accomplished his dream, that is the project possible, when the whole world dissuaded him, discouraged him, saying that it was next to impossible what he's talking about. And then in that I learned something very powerful. It might not be possible, it might be impossible for the world, but it is possible for you. So that is why he said it is project possible, and that was very powerful. It is highly motivating. Doesn't mean that he didn't have challenges. Of course he had to go through his own challenges. Things were, quite bleak in quite a few times. His mother was sick, she had a heart attack, and imagine in that condition, in that emotional state, how are you going to climb that mountain? And then you're going to, you have to endure, you need to endure those kind of harsh weather conditions and so many other difficulties. So how is that person going to do? Imagine the kind of mental state he needs to have. And he didn't give up his dream, he didn't give up his hope. His prayers were answered. His mother was, she survived, and she said, son, go and achieve this for me. And that became his motivation, and that further strengthened him. Instead of the same thing making him feel weak, actually strengthened him. But what happens if you'd have given into his mind? He would have lost that dream of his. You'd have given up midway. He wouldn't have completed, he wouldn't have achieved, but he went after it, come what may. And that is what made it possible. That project possible could only have happened, did happen only because of his grit and determination. That unshakable faith in him, that I am going to win, I am going to achieve, I will have to do this. Come whatever it takes to get it done. That determination and that conviction that he will be able to do is what made him to go there, reach his destination. But had he given up, had he become emotionally unstable, weak, so imagine how well he has trained his mind. That is what I'm saying. Not that he wouldn't have had the fears. Of course, the mind's job is to make you fearful. But are you going to become afraid? No, you can't be afraid. If you're going to be fearful, then you can never do anything in this world. And one very important lesson which Lord Shri Krishna said, right? Firm in vow of complete chastity and fearless. So what is important? You have to become fearless. You can't be fearful about anything in this world. Become fearless. Fearless is what will help you walk the path. Yeah, there are going to be bottlenecks, there are going to be sufferings, but does it mean that you deter? See, my Guruji, again, I did tell you about what he wrote. See, most important thing you need to understand, being born as a human and living in the material world, what is certain is death is certain, sufferings are certain, miseries are certain. But what is uncertainty? What are the uncertain things in this our world is happiness, wealth, money, and many other things. Peace. People go after seeking peace. That is uncertain. But what is certain is all the other challenges, like I said, death, sufferings, misery, all that is very certain in your life. The day you accept and say, look, I have to live this life. This life itself is a battlefield and I have to fight. So the day you accept that and you go ahead in your life, then nothing will, no matter whatever challenges that comes on the way, you will be able to overcome them. You will be able to face head on. Then you're not going to be afraid. You're not going to be fearful. You will become fearless. And this is what happens to you. And then that determination, yes, I can face anything, I can fight anything, I can overcome anything, will come to you. When you have this strength in you, you will find answers to all your problems. The solutions will come and stand in front of you. You will be able to solve all these issues in your life. But until then, what happens? People become coward. They don't want to face. So they go and hide. They kind of try to, it's like an ostrich mentality. You bury your head and say that there's nothing happening around me. Everything is fine. That's the attitude we then live with. That's not going to help us. So what is more important? Becoming fearless. Face head on. You have to face life head on. You can't say that, oh, I'm going to give up. Giving up is not the answer. Like I said, this person the mountaineer could have given up, saying that, oh, my mother will die, what will happen? When I'm climbing the mountain, if she dies, then what happens? Isn't that a weakness in a human being? That weakness was put in front of him, but that he made that a strength when his mother said, what, go win this for me. That's it. So he took it as a goal. No, I have to do this for my mother while she's alive. Isn't that so powerful? So how do you turn the weakness into your strength is what you need to understand. So also convert your weaknesses into your strength. Make them your biggest strength. In fact, my Guruji had taught something very powerful. Many a time we think, we have a lot of weaknesses. Like example, it's not a weakness, but I have a quality which is to get angry. I can really become very angry, But my Guruji said, divert that anger for a cause. And, use that anger to win in this world and not to, destroy anything. Not to even, see, because anger can be self-destructive. It's not a healthy thing to have anger. But how do you use the same God-given ability to channel for doing something good in this world? So I said, use your anger to accomplish something big. Use that same drive, that energy and passion to go get it in this world, whatever that you aspire for. So he taught me how to, convert your weaknesses into your strength. So actually they are not your weakness. On the contrary, if you look at them, they are your greatest strength. They're the biggest strength that you have, which God has given you. Only thing is, we don't know how to channel them, appropriately. We try to misuse these qualities, getting angry over stupid and simple things and being upset with your own self for no rhyme or reason. And anger is also, it affects you more than anybody else. When you're angry with someone else, it's not the other person who's affected, it is you who gets affected the most. So you're actually going through a self-destructive process by getting angry. So don't get angry. And also, please remember, when you get angry, I'm just giving an example with anger. Anger also destroys your own mental well-being and also physical well-being. It creates a lot of bad, negative energy in our being. And that also affects the way, our body functions. So it's very important to understand the truth about how to be, how you have to live in this world. And you have to question, what is it I'm going to get? What is it I'm going to gain by becoming angry with someone? Is it going to give me $1 million? Is it going to help me become better in my life? If not, then why am I wasting my time and energy on somebody or some object which has no value to me? So these are the things you need to question. It's just a method to overcome those challenges in your life. So how do you overcome is what even Lord Shri Krishna is teaching here. And how do you use different methods that he has taught so that you can empower the divine being within you. So you can become liberated and do your swadharma, following the path of dharma. That is what Lord Shri Krishna is teaching. So then only you will be established in that yoga called union with the divine Lord. So let us continue. As a flame does not flicker in a windless place, such is stated to be the picture of the disciplined mind of the yogi practicing meditation on God. So how is your mind? What kind of a state it is? He's giving just an example here. As a flame does not flicker in a windless place. So the flame doesn't flicker, right? So have you seen when you light a candle or light a lamp? If there is a wind, it's flickering and it's constant. It's not steady. So likewise also, the mind is always flickering if it is not stated to be the picture of the disciplined mind. What does it mean? It means simply this: when your mind is disciplined, it does not flicker. It's like, it's sthir. We say sthir means it's steady, it's firm. And as a flame does not flicker in the windless place, such is also stated to be the picture of the disciplined mind. So the mind is steady, absolutely sthir, and of the whose mind is like this? It is of the yogi practicing meditation on God. So because of his practice sadhana, he is able to achieve the steadiness of his mind. It's called a disciplined mind. How does it behave? That is what he's giving an example. So how do you recognize a disciplined mind or a steady mind which does not flicker? And when you continue to practice that meditation on God, it becomes steadier, 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 and completely has that oneness with the Divine Lord. So it's not thinking about anything. There are no sankalpas happening. There are no thoughts of the material world. There's no disturbance over there. There is only tranquility. It's serene. And what is that you are in? Yoga. That is union with the Divine Lord. And what is that you achieve? Supreme bliss. That is what you will be able to achieve. The state in which the chitta, that is the mind stuff, subdued through practice of yoga, becomes completely tranquil, and in which realizing God through subtle reasoning, purified by meditation on God, the soul rejoices only in God. Absolutely, it's exactly what I was just explaining. He says, the state in which the chitta, that's the mind stuff, subdued it. What is the mind stuff? All the nonsensical thoughts in this world that fills our mind. The mind is a chatterbox, constantly chatting, endless thoughts. Oh God, you just imagine it goes from one topic to the other, and sometimes it gives you fear, sometimes it creates anger, sometimes it makes you feel nice, sometimes it makes you feel you're the worst person on planet Earth. What all things goes on, and then otherwise it's going to think about somebody. Oh, that person is useless. All sorts of nonsensical thoughts goes on. It's a turbulent mind. So what happens? The state in which the chitta, that's the mind stuff, is subdued. You are not having any of these thoughts. You're not thinking about anything else besides just practicing that yoga. So how is the mind subdued? Through the practice of this yoga. That is dhyana yoga. Becomes completely tranquil. So when you continue to practice constantly, so your practice will make it tranquil. Tranquil is what? Tranquil means you are in that complete state, that state of oneness, where there is serene. It's like the placid water, which is, there's no ripples, there is no, it's completely calm, it's peaceful. I'm just trying to give words to describe how the tranquil mind can be, and in which realizing God through subtle reasoning, purified by meditation on God, the soul rejoices only in God. So what happens here? He's saying, and in which realizing God through subtle reasoning. What is the reasoning? Subtle reasoning is what? So you'll understand the futility of this world, futility of what you have been doing, running after material worldly desires, trying to fulfill them, all that futility, all that reasoning. You will realize through the reasoning, you will realize that these things have no value in life. And what happens? This subtle reasoning, purified by meditation on God, which means then you'll understand there's only one truth. God alone is the truth. And the happiness that you are seeking only abides in me. Lord Shri Krishna says very clearly that supreme bliss abides in me alone. So when you realize that divine, you understand that it is only in there. And then what happens? The soul rejoices only in God. Then your only joy is through that divine. There is nothing else. But this body, you have been given certain duties. You have to perform the karma. So then you will start performing nishkama karma. Then you are not running after anything. So you're perfectly in the union with the Divine Lord. You're in oneness. You're in that yoga with the Divine Lord. And you're continuing to do your swadharma, following the path of dharma, which is righteousness. So you're serving the purpose of your existence in this world. And then you're not greedy for yourself. Then what happens? You're serving this world. When you serve the world, you're serving the Divine Lord. Isn't that the highest goal that anyone can achieve? So there is a cause for why we are living here. The cause is very important. It is not about just fulfilling our own, stupid desires. There is no value to it. Please remember, life is very beautiful when you understand the truth and then live for others, do things for others. See, in the process, you are going to get what is due to you any which ways. God is very kind. You become the channel then. Through you, he gets his work done. So what makes you think, oh, I am the doer, I am the greatest? We kind of have these kind of thoughts in us. So that doesn't exist. Then your goal is to just be the instrument in the Divine Lord, instrument in the hands of the Divine Lord. He uses you as his best weapon. If the weapon is not sharp, it doesn't serve his purpose, then what is the use? So first you have to become a sharp weapon for him to use it for the right purpose. So that is why we say you serve the purpose of the Divine Lord. So let us continue. Nay, in which the soul experiences the eternal and supersensuous joy, which can be intuited only through the subtle and purified intellect, and wherein established the said yogi moves not from the truth on any account. See, this is another very important thing. What is he teaching here? He's saying, nay, in which the soul experiences the eternal and supersensuous joy, which can be intuited only through the subtle and purified intellect. First of all, what have we learned so far? Through dhyana, what is that you can achieve? That is, you have to first ensure your mind gets disciplined, your mind is serene. Then in that state, you have purified your mind, intellect, everything, right? And then you are able to establish yourself in yoga with the Divine Lord. So then what happens? Nay, in which the soul experiences the eternal and supersensuous joy. And this is not experienced through, when he says eternal is something, it's permanent, it's eternal. You can't even say, oh, it's going to be there for some time and then it's going away. No, it's eternal. And supersensuous joy, which can be intuited only through the subtle and purified intellect. It's not very obvious. It's something which you can't comprehend. See, you can't describe this in words adequately. No way. I can try to explain, like Lord Shri Krishna is also explaining to Arjuna, how does that state, what does that state comprise of, or what is the kind of experience you will have. So that he's just trying to give him an understanding. What happens when you achieve this state, that state through dhyana. But the thing is, it cannot be expressed. I cannot say this is exactly what it is. It's like if I tell you, oh, have you eaten a dragon fruit? You will wonder what is a dragon fruit. Unless and until you have seen it, you have eaten it, till you yourself don't experience it, you will not understand dragon fruit. I can describe it as pink in color. It's got, a little bit pinkish green, skin. It's like a dragon. It's got some fins on it. And then, inside it's white. It's got those little seeds of black color. Did you understand what the dragon fruit looks like? You're trying to imagine. Does it mean you can imagine it exactly like what dragon fruit is? Absolutely not. So similarly, you will have to experience this to understand the truth, what that supreme bliss means. I cannot do it for you, neither anybody can do it for me. The knowledge is he's only pointing it out. Like Lord Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna, this is what happens to the yogi who achieves this state. Where that supreme bliss which only abides in me and not in anybody else. And in that truth, which is very subtle. So that subtle, what is he saying? Intuited and only through the subtle and purified intellect. So we already learned, right? What happens through meditation? The purification is happening. It's a process. And the purified intellect, and wherein established the said yogi moves not from the truth on any account. So what is he trying to say here is that once you have realized this truth, once you have experienced that supreme bliss, the said yogi, so he's established in that yoga, Yogi does not move from the truth on any account, which means he has already attained that. So nobody can move him away from that truth on any account. No matter what you tell him, then his understanding is fixed. It is not going to change for anybody. See, the mind is the one which will change. An example, right? If I say, oh, look, this person is very good, and imagine that person does something to you, then your opinion about the person changes. Oh no, that person is really bad, sort of, right? But here, in this truth, it is the yogi is firmly fixed. You tell him anything, he will not move away from that account of that truth. He's firmly established. That is what happens, and that to attain that eternal goal, you have to go through this process. And he also gave us the requirements, the prerequisites, to somebody who can be qualified to do the dhyana. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That is what Lord Shri Krishna is teaching to Arjuna. He's giving how different things, methods can be used for Arjuna to overcome his mind. It's not overcome, more so to be disciplined. And today he taught us something very beautiful. Thoroughly disciplined. The mind which is thoroughly disciplined. Wow. We don't discipline ourselves. Imagine mind getting thoroughly disciplined. How much of a task it is. It's a practice. It's a sadhana. And how much of effort have you to put? It's not going to be easy. You have to work really hard. And imagine, somebody to drive you like that. So Lord Shri Krishna, isn't he the driver? We say charioteer. He's the charioteer of our life. And we have to give the reins of this body, this life to him. And he will guide us in the right direction. It is all about showing that path. But please remember, you have to walk that path. He can't do it for you. He will not do it for Arjuna. You can say it is Lord Shri Krishna. He just can do like this and magic can happen, right? But why is he not doing? He wants you to put that effort. Till the time you don't put that effort to achieving that, how will you understand what it means? You have to earn it. Anything that comes to you easily will also go away easily. My Guruji has always said, he said something to me way back in time when I was in my early days in spirituality. At that time he said something very beautiful. He said, look, I'm not going to give you anything easy. You better earn it. You work hard for it. I want to see how much effort you can put. Yeah, he can just do magic like this and it can come to me. But he said, I'm not going to do any magic. I want you to put the effort to earn, but I will walk the path with you. I will hold your hands and I will show you how to do things, but you will have to work. You will have to put in your efforts. You better do it. I'll give you a very beautiful example which happened. I always believed I'm not a techie. I'm not an engineering background, so I don't understand technology. It's just your mind creates all this, because somebody told me in my company when I was working for IBM, oh, you're a non-techie, you're not an engineering background. All these architects or the techies in the company believe that they are the greatest thing. So that's a perception that is there. So that somewhere, entered my subconscious mind, and I think I have believed it like that. Many years ago, my Guruji asked me, why don't you start writing about the challenges that exist in the technology? You should. And I said, no. The first answer, the response I gave to him was, I can't. I'm not a techie. I'm not an engineering background. He said, what nonsense. You have been working for a technology company for so many years. How can you say that? And the same response was given once back a few years ago as well by one of my mentors in IBM. And he said to me, please remember, stop telling yourself you're non-techie. He said, we are two sides of the same coin. If you don't go and influence the technology we build, then what use is that technology? But even then I didn't agree to it. You know what my Guruji had to do? He wrote my first article for me and said, go publish this on LinkedIn. Only to instill that faith in me, not because he wanted to do it. No way. He wanted to bring out that inhibitions that I had, or the negatives, that I had given. I can't do it. I don't know. All the negatives that we give to ourselves, making us incapable of doing anything at all, lifting the bow and arrow and shooting like Arjuna. So my Guruji had to do that. And then after that he said, now you contribute, you go. So he gave me few other topics. He did help a bit. And then he said, go and search for it. And then I did a little bit. And after that I was not sure of. And finally there came one day, he said something very powerful. He said, go research, you have done this for your company way back in time. You used to do this. You have been in Marcom, used to write articles for the company. Why are you not doing this for yourself? And I still believed I can't do it. And then one day he said, go do this, go see how people write. He just gave me that much, he gave me a peace of mind and said, go see how people write. You can do it. You should do it. After the call, I thought, why should, my Guruji is telling, I should listen to him for once in life. Why am I so adamant? Why am I so stubborn that I'm giving these negatives to myself? At that moment in time, I said, okay, let me go, go and search. So I went and searched and I saw what he was talking about. It just like something happened. It was a eureka moment. And I believed, yeah, I can do this because I've done this. And then I wrote one article and I sent it to him. He called me and said, did you really write this? I said, yeah. Oh, this is a New Yorker piece. It was a motivation. So that was the moment I realized, oh, I know how to do this. But who said I can't do it? It is my mind. And who has given the negatives to myself? I have given this negative. So what is important? That you have to put the effort to overcome the mind. How? By practice. Thoroughly disciplined. And this is not one day's job. Please remember, this is lifetimes of a job for you to overcome your mind, the body and senses. In the sense, having that perfect control. Till the time, you can't. So until I didn't go do it myself, I didn't understand what it is. See, he's not the one who's being glorified. It is me who's going to get the recognition or getting glorified, right? People say, oh, you become a thought leader, you're a global thought leader. I got some recognitions. But had it not for my Guruji, I wouldn't be in this position. So who do I need to thank? It is him. He knows my abilities. But who has told me that I am incapable is my mind. So stop giving these negatives. This is exactly what Lord Shri Krishna is also teaching Arjuna. Arjuna, you have to put in your efforts. He's not going to, do any miracles. He has to lift his bow and arrow and shoot. So till the time you don't do, you can't win in this world. But please remember, as we progress, Lord Shri Krishna is going to say something very beautiful. But I'm going to jump the gun and say right now. He says, the enemies already stand slain by me. What does it mean? See, he has already killed those people. But Arjuna still has to lift his bow and arrow and shoot that enemy of his. Until then, they're not going to die. So what does that tell you? Destiny is predefined. Everything is already, it's the script, the story, the direction, the screenplay, everything is already done. The movie's already been, it's already pictured. Everything is done. But it is for you to play that role is very important. You're just coming and replaying it, if I have to say so, just for an understanding purpose. So please remember, if you want to achieve this goal, that God realization, you have to walk that path yourself. Don't expect anybody to come and spoon feed you. Yeah, Lord Shri Krishna is very kind. He's very, very sweet, He's very benevolent. He's very compassionate. He knows his people. His creation, we human beings are incapable. Arjuna is incapable, but he's still going to give him this knowledge and enable him, empower him, so that he lifts his bow and arrow and shoots. That is what it is. So same here, Lord Shri Krishna keeps manifesting for that reason, so that he imparts this esoteric knowledge to us, so that we can become that divine being. Forget about divine being, at least a good human being who is going to perform our duties to the highest of our God-given abilities. For why we have taken this human birth? To serve the purpose and in following the path of righteousness alone. So with that, let us stop here and continue in our next satsang from the next verse. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunath Natha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.